What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast that covers the hottest topics with a touch of what, Terrence?
Good old festive humor, man.
Good old festive humor, man.
Yeah.
So this is literally the last podcast of 2022 for us, lah.
And I think in the spirit of it being the end of the year and things slowing down, we decided to take our time a little bit and spread it out over 2 episodes rather than rush through everything in one episode, right?
Yeah, lah. But I was going for something a little more self-reflective, lah. Not immediately into the content of the podcast, lah. Terrence, reverting back to Yalabot episode 1.
It's the idea, Harish. Conversation, you don't just go right into it, say stating a point. You kind of every conversation is ebb and flow. It's like a fencing thing. You touche, touch and go, and then someone says something, you say something. It's not just you say what you want to say, and then why is the other person not playing ball? That's not how conversation works, Harish.
How apt for our final podcast of the year, which is a podcast about disagreement, for us to start with a disagreement. How
Start with
poetic,
disagreement.
Start with a disagreement.
But I guess everyone can tell that maybe you're not so stressed about your wedding now. That's why you're back to being your
annoying best,
abrasive self, right?
As one listener put, my mercurial self.
Yeah,
my
mercurial ranting,
self.
Abrasive. No longer having to compromise and to please everybody anymore. Harish is back to his best at disagreeing with.
Back, man.
Just contrarian, lah. Contrarian for the sake of being a contrarian.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm back to just poking when there's no reason to poke. Just poke.
Yeah.
Just poke. Exactly.
It's one of those things. It's like I think a lot of times in our YouTube days, when hanging out with you and maybe other YouTubers, there were points when everyone, like, you get into this thing where you start to try and poke people very hard, and then the other personality enjoys that also, and then you all just keep poking each other, and it's just it's a bit very uncomfortable for other people sitting around the table, and nobody says anything because it's like, okay, they need attention, so we just let me. So that's the kind of feeling that I'm talking about, that when you say you want to poke, when you poke people, and then I'm like, hey, Harish, that's not conversation. You're just like, poking for the sake of poking, Yeah.
Oh, Terrence, how long you been holding on to that? Because I think it's the first time you're telling me about that.
I've always told you, like, at times I just get a bit like, okay, fine, can we just move on from whatever joke that you're trying to build on and all that. I think I've mentioned it before. Yeah,
I think so. I think I know specifically who you're talking about, lah.
Sometimes it just gets like, the point was like, guys, can we just move on? It's like we need to order lunch or something already. Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, that's
yeah. There was a little thing from years ago that Terrence still holds on to.
No. I mean, I just reflect. You say it's self-reflective, right?
Oh, yeah, self-reflective.
See, when I talk about being self-reflective, cannot be that kind of self-reflective.
For the year, lah, dude.
Okay. For the year. Let's constrain our conversation artificially to the year. Okay.
To the year.
Which is what we're doing. Year. Actually, that's the theme of what we're doing, right?
See, I had the goal in mind, dude. I was 2 steps ahead of you. 2 steps ahead of you. But yes, we are doing that because today we're going to be covering the top 5, the part 2 of the top 10 trending searches in Singapore.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
But before that, is there any specific thing we'd like to say, Terrence?
I think
you just took a sip of water. Yeah.
Yeah, for us, I think we talked about, usually we do a plug, but I think it's a good time to just talk a little bit about Folklory, which is something that we've been pushing very hard in terms of pushing to try and get more people to buy Folklories, but also just putting the word out there about what we're doing with Folklory, and being self-reflective. Maybe now's a good time to just look at what we've achieved, since about March or so when we really started this big push, right?
Yeah, and I mean, since then we have had someone join us to help us scale it up. We had our editor Tristan do the bulk of Folklory editing, and I mean, since March, when we've been trying to be a bit more cognizant of how we are pushing it, how we are marketing it, we've actually gotten like 26 customers across and recorded 59 episodes. 26 customers, 59 folklories. In this past December, we just closed a first deal with a business, so a corporate deal. And yeah, I think throughout the year there were times we were like, oh, okay, like why is this not working? Why is that not working? But then when we look at the span of the year, it's actually quite something we are super proud of, lah. Yeah, right. and a big shout out to a lot of you guys who listen and put your trust in us to try out Folklory. And from what we've heard, had a good experience, lah. So next year is just gonna be taking it to the next level.
Yeah, I mean, but I think it also might be worth mentioning that we've not only recorded folklories for people in Singapore or even people in Asia. We've gone way beyond our geographical boundaries, and there's a whole list of countries, I think. You want to just run through what these countries are?
Yeah, so far it's Singapore, Macau, US, Canada, Mexico, India, Australia, Malaysia, Germany, South Africa, and Hong Kong.
Wow.
Which is quite mind blowing. And I mean, the reason we're sharing this is also because just shout out to you guys for supporting us, and also as we grow next year, if any of you listening feel that you can contribute in some way, shape, or form, working with us in some way, supporting us in some way, just reach out, because we're always on the lookout for great people to work with.
Yeah.
And I mean, we also have a sale that is going to end at midnight on 31st December 2022, and you can get 25% off with a particular promo code, which is what, Terrence?
Ho 25.
Yeah. That's HO 25 at folklory.com. Just click on the link in the description. Our teammate will also be sending out a newsletter detailing kind of more details about how this year has been. You can subscribe to that, and also at a Substack link in the description. So yeah.
It's a different one from our Yalabat newsletter, our Just Try Only newsletter, right? It's
yes, correct.
The specific folklory newsletter.
Yeah, it's called The Folklore. All the links in the show notes, along with the link to our Yalabat newsletter called Just Try Only. Right. So lots of stuff to click on.
Yeah, but we also have a list to get through of number 5 to number 1 on top 10 Google search trends in Singapore.
Yes.
So shall we jump right into it and pick up where we left off?
Sure. And I think it's my turn, right?
Yeah, that's right, it is.
So number 5, I mean, just to recap, 10 to 6, it was Thor Love and Thunder, GST voucher 2022, COVID-19 cases Singapore, Shinzo Abe, and the iPhone 14. So now at number 5, it is the Australian Open.
The Aussie Open.
Aussie Open. And why was it such a significant thing, Terrence?
But to be specific, we're talking about, I think we're referring to the tennis Australian Open, right?
Oh, are there other Australian Opens?
I'm sure there are other sports that have that play in Australia and call it Australian Open as well.
Oh, I see.
If I'm not wrong, yeah. So I just wanted to be specific. The Australian Open.
the tennis Australian Open.
Yeah. So you're asking me why this is why I think this might be number 5, so high up on the Singapore's list.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Actually, I am always quite surprised at the interest in the Australian Open from Singapore Google search trends. Because I never knew tennis as a mass spectator sport in Singapore. So it is always quite surprising that people are searching Australian Open, and specifically the Australian Open versus other events like Wimbledon or the French Open or whatnot, right?
Oh.
So I'm not 100. I don't have a good answer for that. But what do you think?
For me, it was because of the whole controversy with Djokovic. I think where he, basically what happened was that he flew to Australia. He was set to take part in the Australian Open, but because he's a big campaigner against vaccinations, I think up till now he remains unvaccinated. On the eve of the Australian Open, he was deported from Australia and he had to leave.
Yeah. And it was a big hoo-ha because people were saying that should he be given an exception to participate in the Australian Open, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Given that
exactly.
he's like world number one, he's there to defend his title, and I think he was defending his title, yeah. And then it was basically he, Nadal, and Federer were all tied at 20 Grand Slams at that point in time, and people were waiting to see if Nadal or Djokovic might break that deadlock because Federer wasn't playing.
Yeah.
So it was there was a lot of debate about whether he should be allowed in the country because of, with special exceptions, because of the historic nature of what he's about to do, yeah.
And because other Australians also, I think at that point in time, they couldn't come back to Australia. And
right.
there was a few other tennis players who didn't get their visa approved. So I guess what made it more tricky is that he was in Australia and there were protests outside the hotel. And he got even released temporarily for a training session while the decision was being discussed in the Australian government. And then boom, the day before he had to leave.
Yeah.
And I remember it was, I think we also covered it on the podcast because it was one of those topics that, like, is there elitism at play? Is there double standards? And at that point in time, even Singapore with COVID, we were a bit like, what the fuck's going on, right? Like everyone was still wearing masks. There was still a lot of restrictions and all, right?
Yeah. And I think there was also a very big camp that didn't want to see Djokovic surpass Federer or Nadal in Grand Slams as well. Because Djokovic, actually, he's not. I mean, he's definitely a legend of the sport, right? He's one of the best players ever, but arguably even the best player ever.
Yeah.
But in the hearts of a lot of fans, he's not the most popular star also compared to Nadal or Federer, right?
Yeah, correct.
I think there's a very romantic there's a romanticism around the way Federer plays and his great rivalry with Nadal and their love-hate relationship. And not even love-hate, it's just a love relation. It's a lovely relationship between them. And Djokovic is always seen as the guy who comes to spoil the party between them,
yeah.
you know.
The soccer, right? The soccer.
Yeah. And his style of play, I guess he's more like playing against him probably feels like the most apt description is like playing against a wall. He hits everything back, and it's not necessarily the most pretty balls, but he hits everything back. Whereas Federer and Nadal are seen more like, for what Federer is the artist and Nadal's the matador and all that, you know. So he's never been the most popular figure. He's polarizing, and then plus you add on his anti-vax opinions and gluten intolerance and everything. So yeah, there was that camp also that just didn't want to see him play in Australian Open for sure.
And the irony is that Nadal ended up winning, right?
Yeah, Nadal broke that deadlock and beat Medvedev in the final. And I think even Federer fans in general are happy when Nadal wins because it's forever etched in history, the rivalry between Nadal and Federer. It's like whether you love Federer or you love Nadal, like you can't deny that was one of the greatest rivalries ever in any sport, right?
Yeah. And I mean, the thing is now, Djokovic, as we speak, is in Australia for the upcoming Australian Open, which was also controversial because he had a 3-year ban that was overturned, I think, in September. So now he's back. And you can imagine, because at the time when it was being debated whether or not he should be deported, I think there was a public survey that was run in Australia, and 70% of people said they want him to be deported. So you can imagine when he goes back now, for such a spectator sport, right? Already, people crowds don't, neutral crowds never really support Djokovic, right? You imagine the crowd in this case, lah.
Yeah. But that's the thing, I think it's been documented a lot of times that Djokovic has always he's always known that the crowd is against him, and he claims that he uses it as fuel to play better. He tries to imagine that whatever boos he's hearing are actually cheering for him. And that's why he's really mentally that strong. I mean, there's been so many instances he broke everyone's hearts in the 2018 Wimbledon final against Federer.
Yeah, correct.
When he was down 2 match points and he still came back and won the match. But yeah, so that's the thing about Djokovic. Even my phone, when I was doing research for this, I was typing out Djokovic's name, and then the autocorrect, the first thing that came out was Djokovidiot. And I can't remember. I don't know if there's something I've actually typed before, or is it like so much in the lexicon of like that the Apple even decided, oh, let's make sure that autocorrect Djokovic is in your phone.
Djokovic.
Yeah, so that's how a lot of people remember Djokovic, unfortunately.
Wow, Djokovic. I just tried, and I think it might be your phone.
It might be me, yeah. So I mean, yeah, no. I mean, obviously, I'm slightly biased also because big Federer and Nadal fan.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I still respect Djokovic a lot, but kind of agree with a lot of things that he did in the last couple of years with regards to COVID, lah.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was number 5.
Maybe that's why. Yeah,
that was number 5.
And then now we move on to number 4 in the top 10 most searched Google searches in Singapore in 2022. It is Queen Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
Rest in peace to Queen Elizabeth. Yeah.
Yes.
This was I think it was in September, right? When she passed.
8 September. Yeah,
early September. And yeah, it's been it's the end of an era lah, for sure. How long was she the monarch? How long was she the monarch for? Like really, I think she's one of the longest serving monarchs ever, right?
She's the longest of any British monarch and the longest verified reign of any female monarch in history. So her reign was 70 years and 214 days.
Wow.
70 years and 214 days.
Wow, that's
what
crazy,
the hell, man? Her coronation was on 2nd June 1953.
Well, that's pretty crazy.
So she became when she was 25, and then she passed away when she was 96. My God, man. That's insane.
Yeah. But I mean, the dust has settled a bit since she passed, right? And I think the iconic moment recently was when King Charles, wow, it feels so weird to say King Charles.
Yeah,
King Charles delivered the annual Christmas address. I think the Christmas address to
the
the British people. Yeah. And I think he broke tradition because, I mean, how the Queen has done it all this while is she sits behind her desk and delivers it. But King Charles stood to deliver it this time. So that a lot of people notice that as, breaking from the 70-year tradition of the Christmas message, which, I mean, he's a new king. He needs to assert his authority by standing up as opposed to sitting down. Can't blame him. But yeah, that's not the only reason the royal family has been in the news recently as well, right?
Yeah. I mean,
what's the other part of it?
For better or worse, it is the recent Netflix documentary series called Harry and Meghan.
That's right.
And I don't know, like there are certain things they say. I mean, it just felt because it.
Have you watched it? You watched the series?
My wife watched it when we were in Bali. I watched a bit here and there. I don't know, like I found it a bit cringy, but I mean, the more she told me about it, the more it's just you I mean, you can it's just their side, it's just their side. Of course, it's produced by their production house. It felt weird that they don't speak to anyone from the royal family or from the institution. So, but yeah, it's just like that. But they do mention certain things about Queen Elizabeth, I believe, or basically the family.
Yeah, I think I tried to watch the first episode, and it was just so cringe. It was like every other minute they said, or maybe one of them said something that seemed to completely contradict whatever they were doing. They're like, I did this because I need to protect the privacy of my family, and then literally he's saying that to a $50,000 camera that's filming them for a Netflix series that they got paid I don't know how many millions to do, and then to show the pictures of their children, and then they're like, we wanted it to feel as authentic as possible, so we, our friend told us to record ourselves using our phones, and I mean, it's as inauthentic as it gets. It's literally you read the playbook on how do you look authentic while taking a selfie video of yourself. It's like, take a selfie video of yourself right after you get out of the shower with the towel still around your head, and then because of that feels authentic. I'm like, come on, guys. That's what Meghan Markle Yeah, like I think the first selfie video, she's like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing, and she's like, literally just came out of the shower and all that. I'm like, what kind of person, like, before they even put on clothes and everything, they're already like thinking, okay, this is the best time to take a selfie video of myself.
But
it's only someone who feels like, okay, this is a way to make it feel authentic, then they do it.
But I know my wife did say that after watching the full series, it did change her mind a bit about certain things, like in the sense that of course it's very one sided. But there are certain things that make you think like, oh, was it like what else could they have done? Like if the narrative is being painted like one way, is this their attempt at trying to correct certain things? Of course they can go overboard, but I just thought, okay, it's another side. Of course, it would be great if there's a neutral party to make a documentary that takes both sides, but I don't know, man. It just feels like.
Are there any specifics? Do you have any specifics about what changed? What opinions changed?
I think there was one part where Prince Harry, Harry and Meghan said, wrote a private letter to the Queen, or King Charles, and I think there was an agreement that it would stay between them, but then it got leaked to the press. And I think that she was very critical about a lot of other things, and I will say also she started off not the biggest fan of them. I think right now she's still similar kind of sentiments, but she says certain things that made her think a bit like, oh, wow, if that's really the case, that's kind of messed up lah. And I think like as you get older, you deal more with families. You see this, you see that. Sometimes there might be things that a lot of other people think, which might not be the truth lah. So basically, I know like a lot of people have been shitting on it. I know Jeremy Clarkson wrote some stupid ass shit in a column in the UK. But yeah, it's just one of those things that maybe like I don't know. I haven't watched it, so I can't comment. But when she told me that, and I trust her judgment on a lot of things, I was like, okay, maybe there's something there lah. There's something there.
I mean, essentially, I think what you just said essentially encapsulates what Harry is doing lah. I trust his judgment on a lot of things, and
he said that.
No, I mean, essentially, I think that's basically what is happening. Like there's a lot of he says, she says,
correct.
How she's feeling, and I'm doing this to protect my family, So I'm just pointing out that there's a lot of subjectivity in their relationship with the royal family and all that, right? Obviously, because even when you said something is leaked to the press, like who leaked it, like, right? That's the
exactly.
question. Could it even be a own self leak oneself? But the objective truth about certain things is that if you are the father of a young child and what you're trying to say is, I'm trying to protect the privacy of my family and all that. The big thing that just don't fucking sign a Netflix deal where you have to take selfie videos of yourself and your family and just going out for walks and all that for the sake of content, right?
Yeah.
So that, to me, all these glaring inconsistencies in what they say really make me like discount. You just naturally discount everything that they say, even if it makes sense to a certain extent, right?
Yeah. So I mean,
so that's why I tried to watch it. And I try to watch it from the angle of I'm interested in to hear their side of the story and all. But those
how long do you last?
Glaring, I mean, I think I got to the point where they just started to talk about how they met and their relationship and how awesome it was when they met and all that, and how he was just an irregular guy. She didn't even know who he was as a prince. I'm like, come on.
How many episodes in? How many episodes in?
One. I'm only in the first episode. And I'm like, yeah.
I asked that because I watched the first episode with my wife, and at the end of it, we were like, wow, this is fucking cringe. So I stopped watching. But every day she would watch another episode, and you know how you were asking me on like the wedding rating, right? I asked her, hey, so how? Any updates? And I think it was only maybe the last couple of episodes where she said there were certain moments where okay. But overall, I mean, I still cannot give a shit about the whole thing. That's why I have no compulsion to watch it at all, because to me, it's like a family drama times 1,000 lah. But it's just one of the things that, families can be so complicated. Then someone with the royal family and all the media, walao, it sounds horrible, man, to be in that situation.
Yeah, and it can lead people into tangents when we're supposed to be talking about the Queen passing away.
Yeah, exactly.
We end up talking about Harry and Meghan.
But are you going to carry on watching? Are you going to carry on watching?
I don't know, man. Maybe in like when I'm like lonely and depressed and I've finished playing all my video games, and then maybe I'll like open it up and watch it lah. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. It's just they got to a point where they're talking about their relationship, and I was like, you know what,
the one I couldn't,
this is way
make
too
it as well.
much. Yeah, this is way too much.
But I mean, it's just so like ironic that the year that the Queen passes away, which is September, that means they would probably have been in the final stages of editing this, and it just felt like, I think the timing was horrible lah, for it to come out.
Yeah, that's another thing to say also.
Later. Yeah,
because even, I mean, not the same lah, but you know, The Crown, right? The Netflix series, the you know, that's based loosely on the lives of the royal family and all that. Even they, you know, took a hiatus from production during the Queen's passing and all that, right?
Yeah.
And say what you want about The Crown, you know, they claim it was a love letter to the Queen and everything, right? Yeah. And but the family has distanced itself from The Crown, obviously. But you know, at the end of the day, it's still a dramatized version of events, right? Whereas what Harry and Meghan are presenting is a very one-sided, their version of events that they claim to be entirely true because it's their first-hand accounts. And yeah, the timing is nasty because it's so soon after the Queen's, the head of the family's death, right?
Yeah, and I mean, like I mean, for us, you know, like the mantra for this podcast and a lot of things we do is that, yeah, you should always consider both perspectives. And even if you want to talk about certain things, or you accuse someone, they should be able to defend themselves, right? Or have the opportunity to. Now you release this, and the Queen is no longer there. Oh, allow it. It's just, yeah. When I saw the first few trailers, I was like, "What the fuck? You're releasing this year?"
Yeah, and it's like, that means one of the first things your dad, as the king, has to do in office is to damage control based on your Netflix series being released. So what a great first gift to your father when he becomes king.
Yeah.
Right?
So yeah, like, it's just one of those things that, I mean, the royal family still boggles my mind.
So I mean, that's where it's so cynical, right?
Like the starting point already is
they claim they don't want all this drama, they don't want all this attention, but they choose the worst time, or at least the most distasteful time possible to release the thing. Of course, you could argue maybe there's no better time for the marketing and all that, right? But if you had any decency, you know, given that it's your grandmother who just passed, and is it grandmother? Yeah, grandmother who passed and all, then yeah, you would maybe give it a bit more time, right?
Yes, exactly. So yeah, the starting point already was like, oof. So I was asking my wife, why are you watching this? Why?
I won't deny, as you know, if you have any kind of interest in the royal family or the crown, you
super
probably would. Yeah, you should give it a chance. But it really got to a point where it made me feel irritated, even though I was just trying to get around my day. Every 5 minutes, I was just like complaining about it to my wife, and she's like, "Why do we keep watching this if we're so irritated by it?"
So she also didn't want to watch, is it?
Yeah. She also was turned off after a while already. Yeah. Yeah. So don't think it's just me ranting about it. It's like other people. So
yeah. I think it was one of those, like, maybe it was Singapore social for her. After you turn off and you just watch, but she watches The Crown, and I'm sure you also watch The Crown, right?
Yeah, we watched The Crown, yeah, but we haven't got to the latest season and all.
I never got into The Crown. I watched one season and I was like, all right,
yeah,
not my cup of tea.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
yes.
Moving
on to number 3. This one, like, I was a bit surprised. And it is none other than the Causeway Link, or more specifically, just Causeway Link.
That's
Causeway Link. And the only reason I can think of why it's so highly searched is because it was maybe in May or June where the borders to the Causeway to Malaysia opened, was it? Right. And that's why people were searching because Causeway Link is also is a public bus operator in JB, you know.
Yeah. So I was when I was Googling it, I was like, hey, this is like I mean, it's the best thing ever for the company, right?
Company
that people are just generally, let's say you want to just search for traffic on the Causeway, you type in Causeway link, and it brings you to the first page, which is your company's page, which is like, wow, the naming of the company couldn't have been any better. Causeway links, right?
Yeah. But I think their website presence is not that good because the first thing is the Wikipedia article, but not the company, not the company link, the Causeway link. So, but I mean, why did you go to Malaysia at any point? Do you drive out?
No, not recently, no. But why you're asking why people are searching? Is it?
Yeah, I mean,
no, I think it's because as much as there's a lot of literature out there about when's the best time to go and all that, nothing beats literally checking the camera, the camera on the Causeway on to see what traffic conditions are. Nothing beats that. That is the most up to date, the best way to just assess whether you can make a decision between leaving at 8 a.m. and then being in the line for like 4 hours and reaching JB maybe at 1 p.m. or something. Or you could just wait till like noon, and then when it dies down a little bit, then you take an hour or two to get in, and then you'll be there at 2 o'clock. So you spend less time in the jam. So it's strongly advised to really log in and check the camera before you embark on your journey. Yeah.
Oh, but the thing is, the Causeway link, like, what's the website that you see that?
I think the LTA, there's an LTA website. I think one motoring or something, yeah.
Because on the whole first page of the Causeway link Google search, there's nothing about the camera. Right.
Yeah, so that's the thing. That's why I'm kind of confused. That's why I'm a little bit confused as to why people are searching Causeway link rather than like Causeway camera or something. Because that would be the most immediate thing that I would think of, checking the camera before you drive in.
But wait, actually, just now, if you search Causeway link, the first link is not the Wikipedia. I think that was my autocomplete. The first link is causewaylink.com.my and is the largest cross-border bus service. So maybe, I mean, if you think about it, we do have a lot of people who come into Singapore from Malaysia and go back every day, right?
Yeah, so maybe it could be checking the bus, huh? Yeah.
Just checking the bus, lah. Oh, Causeway Link. So it is the bus company. Wow.
It is, yeah. So yeah. You mean like what you say, like if the website, I mean it's such a powerful SEO, right? When your website is like the number 3 most searched term in Singapore.
Yeah, man.
Google. That's pretty impressive. I mean, it's I would say the naming of your company Causeway Link is genius, lah. Right? It's like it ranks up there with like naming your company, say Honest Bee. You know, when you want to be look very honest. Or Shopee.
Or WeWork.
WeWork, yeah. Shopee, to tell people here's where you come to shop. Or WeWork, yeah, you go there to work. Causeway Link, you go there to Causeway, It's perfect.
To link up.
Yeah.
Causeway Link.
To link you with your family via the Causeway. It's a great naming.
Causeway
I say it ranks up right up there.
And I mean, the peak of the search was in January. So was that when the borders opened or something?
Maybe for Malaysians to come in to work. I don't know. I can't remember exactly.
But so I mean, it's the third most searched term. So yeah, I think it was sometime in January when something happened lah. So that's the number 3 search term. I mean, I don't know what else to say about Causeway Link apart from their business probably suffered quite a bit during COVID, and now if they're doing well, then good on you.
At least they know they're doing well on the Google search trends, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But yes, that brings us to number 2, which is actually something quite surprising. I didn't imagine that this would be the number 2 most searched term in Singapore. But number 2 is Ukraine. Ukraine.
Oh, you didn't think it would be that high up, is it?
Yeah, I did not realize that Singaporeans would be so interested in searching about what is going on in Ukraine or getting news about it, right?
I see.
I mean, yes, it's coffee shop talk about, Russia, Ukraine, everything. But for people to be searching for news on it, maybe it was just a lot of interest when the war first happened, right?
Yeah. I mean, even
Yeah.
if you look at the search trends, it peaks in February to March lah.
Mm-mm.
So that's where, I mean, for those of you who are listening to just at this episode, on the Google trending page, it does have a little note about how these lists are populated. And it basically is based on search terms that had the highest spike this year as compared to the previous year.
Yeah. So
So,
definitely, for sure, Ukraine would be up there, lah, right?
yeah, Ukraine, because I mean, I'm guessing it's not the most searched term, it's not the sexiest travel destination or anything in previous
Mm-hmm.
years.
Yeah.
But Ukraine now, I mean, the fact is, if you Google Russia, Ukraine now, even as recent as yesterday, there was a fucking just a barrage of missiles that were targeting the electricity grid
Yeah.
of Ukraine,
Yeah. That's right.
and it's just mind blowing. Like the whole thing started on 24th February 2022. No, now it's day 309.
Yeah. And I think the leader of Ukraine, Vladimir, is it Vladimir?
Zelensky, like Vladimir
Yeah,
Zelensky.
Vladimir
No,
Zelensky.
yeah, not Vladimir. Is it? Fuck, what's his name?
I can't remember his first name. Zelensky, lah, right?
Yeah,
Regardless,
Zelensky.
we'll correct that in a bit. But
Yeah.
he was in the news recently because he made a trip to the U.S. and spoke to the Congress, gave a speech to Congress, and which was very well received by both all the politicians. Got a standing ovation and was presented with the U.S. flag and had a meeting with Joe Biden and everything.
Oh, when
So
was
they're
that?
really on the PR offensive right now.
When was that?
Just a few days ago, I mean, like a week ago, was it?
Oh, he flew to the US.
Yeah. So yeah, the interesting thing is that there's a whole, I mean, one of the first things that came to my mind was like, wow, this guy in the middle of a war, middle of a war that his country is in, where Russia is probably controlling the airspace and guarding the borders and everything. He's able to get out of the country and go to the US and give a speech, a very highly publicized televised speech to the world, which is pretty crazy. Because I think he was trying to do that for the World Cup. Like he wanted a message to be broadcast before the start of the World Cup final, but his request was rejected, right? Because obviously World Cup doesn't want to bring politics into the game. Because you'll offend one of you offend a big country like Russia and all that. So, but then he got to air his grievances and everything in front of Congress in the US.
That was
And there's a
recently,
whole,
is it?
yeah, literally in the last couple of weeks. Yeah, you probably it probably happened near your wedding or what. That's why
22nd December, 22nd December, correct. His visit to Washington.
Yeah, so there's a whole big story about how he managed to pull it off, and then how he had to, we whisked onto a train to get to the border with Poland, because Russia's controlling airspace in Ukraine, and only from Poland. That's where, I mean, it's through Poland that a lot of supplies are flown in and everything. So he was brought there to be flown via train and then flown to the US. So it's a very big deal, and I just love how he made a very understated but still very theatrical thing about it. Like he appeared in his speech wearing his sweatpants and basically that the semi military looking kind of gear, right? That it wasn't a military uniform, but it was like we're thick in the middle of a war. I don't have time to wear a suit and tie kind of feel to it, right?
Yeah.
Which was a stroke of genius, and just he's not a big size guy or what, but I think he had a lot of presence during his whole speech and presentation, and even just the way he was presenting. He presented a flag, a Ukrainian flag that was hoisted from in one of the war zones. That was hoisted up in one of the war zones, and he presented it to Nancy Pelosi in Congress in a very awkward way as well. So it just felt very authentic, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just like just to correct the name. It is Vladimir. I think it's pronounced that way because it's spelled very differently from the Russia's Vladimir.
Yeah,
it's Vladimir. This is Vladimir. But
yeah.
I think like it. Yeah, like he's actually been on like a political tour, discussing his 10-point peace plan, which was rejected by the Kremlin in Russia. But he's been talking to Modi, he's been talking to Biden. He's I'm guessing not all of them are physical face-to-faces, but it's fucking insane because I saw a video that Al Jazeera put out and said that I think 70% of people in Kiev are without electricity. And it's winter there, no? And the winters there are probably bitter as hell.
Yeah.
And it's just like, walao, like, most of the world is in festive mode, but Ukraine, it's almost now like the Ukraine-Russia war is like, okay, it's in the background, it happens. Oh yeah, how's the Ukraine-Russia war? Oh, it's still ongoing. Because for a while the whole world was talking about it. Now it's gone so long, and if you try and read up, basically no one's optimistic about some sort of peace process. And there are 10,000 ways that this could end, but none of them are like what they call the Hollywood ending, where there's like fucking shake hands and it stops. And it just is mind blowing. It's mind blowing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's what I think he's been able to do very well. Keep the whole conflict still, in the minds of everyone, normal people, in the minds of the US, the general public and everything. And there are very strong images of him at the front lines, or him standing in solidarity with his people on the ground, wearing his semi-military fatigues / sweatpants. He also delivered a Christmas message that calling for solidarity, and we don't have heat, but we will hug each other and keep each other warm, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but yeah, just very like presenting himself as a man of the people and fighting alongside them very well. Yeah.
And I mean, to the point that even like Emmanuel Macron, the French president, has been criticized for copying Zelensky's style. No? Did you hear that? It was back in March and all that. But like what you said, I think Zelensky, I can't imagine him having that much time or mental space to think about how best to present himself, which is why people see him as like, oh fuck, this guy is really like in the thick of battle. But there was a picture in March that went around with Emmanuel Macron, like a bit unshaven, not in a suit. And people were saying, yo man, you're trying to copy Zelensky's style. Like what you said, that whole image of like I'm in the midst of shit that is occupying my mind so much that I cannot be as prim and proper as I normally am.
Yeah. Remember, I mean, speaking of that, it was kind of like I remember we watched the World Cup final. Macron was there for the final because it was France versus Argentina, right? And I think after France lost and all, Macron had to go. He had to go down and be part of the entourage that presented the medals and the trophies and everything. And I just found it funny how, I mean, cannot say funny but I'm sure he's sad as the French president, but he still had to, try and look like stately and congratulate the Argentinian players and everything. But he had this he's just pulling a really long face throughout the whole ceremony and just like so sad to be there. And I'm just imagining, oh God, he probably is like, why do I still have to be here to do this? I just want to go back and cry because my country lost and everything. But he still had to present the World Cup medal, congratulate Argentina, comfort all his guys. So yeah, it's I guess it's what you have to do as a politician, right? Put on, basically represent the feelings of your country at any point of time, no matter what the occasion is, whether you're in the World Cup final and you lost, or you won, or you're in the middle of a war. It's all, it's just part of the theater that comes with being a politician, right?
And that one also, he cannot allow criticism.
Oh,
yeah, because the opposition parties in France were saying, yo man, if you are there, you are politicizing it. All the pictures you took hugging Mbappe and all, of course it's fucking great for propaganda, right? So I also was wondering hey, why is he there?
Why is he
there's
there?
no other political leader, but you can imagine it's basically being there with the French players, and for the opposition parties, they're probably like, shit, fuck this guy. He's getting at a time when the country needs to be together, he's there lah. So it's the theatrics.
And it's I mean, there's no more it's probably the world's most viewed televised event, right? So it's eyeballs on him, and even it's I guess it's just part of the political thing. They know how to play the game, and they're all playing it their different ways.
That's why just like when you said, oh, he feels sad and all, how fuck, he doesn't feel a thing, he's a politician.
No, I say feel sad as in, let's say a team that you support, even as cynical as you are, probably even
your own team.
Yeah, even a
Royal family.
Roy Nung or Amos Yee, if Singapore is playing the World Cup final, I could imagine they'd be watching also, right? Regardless how you feel about the country. So it's just, like what you said, like, I mean, you can just watch the match, but you don't have to necessarily be part of the troop that has to be on the pitch and be like a Salt Bay and appear in photos with all the players and all that, right?
Yeah, correct.
So, it's a very calculated choice, for sure.
Yeah. But I mean, since we are talking about Ukraine, we will just put like a link in the show notes if you want to like just contribute anything, because they're like I think the situation there is still super dire, lah. And there's a bunch of links on this one website where if you want to support in any way, it's there, man. If you want to spread some love.
And I think we've mentioned it before that the ex-Singapore actor Chen is there in Ukraine, and I think he's been posting a lot of things on social media, and this is not a sponsored post or anything like that. Right? I'm just pointing out that he's got on the ground. I think he's done quite well in documenting whatever is happening on the ground in a way that only an actor, someone who understands social media better can. So yeah, it's pretty interesting just to watch his post and just understand how the mood on the ground is amongst all the people.
Yeah, man. Cool.
But that's number 2. Now, so Haresh, you have the privilege. You have the privilege of bringing us home with the number 1.
So the number 1 search term of 2022 trending searches in Singapore. This one is like, I was surprised. Were you surprised?
Oh, really? I mean, it's surprising, but it totally makes logical sense to me.
True lah. But
after you know what it is,
yeah. And the word is wait. I think there's actually an effect that we can play, called
really?
Like a drum roll, really, using this software.
Go for it. Yes. Okay.
Okay, I think we need a drum roll for a drum roll. Can you hear it?
Is it? I don't hear anything. But maybe it's recorded on your end. I don't know.
Fuck all drum roll was that?
Okay, maybe we'll get Tristan to insert a drum roll right there.
We keep it real. We keep it real with that fuck all drum roll. But yes, the word, the most searched term in Singapore for 2022 is Wordle.
Wordle.
And if you've been living under a rock, Wordle is actually this online game that blew up during the pandemic. I think it was in 2021 October when the creator made it public, and it fucking went apeshit viral. And in 2022, it got acquired by the New York Times for a 7-figure sum in January.
Yep. And why are you so surprised that it's number 1?
Like you, I was surprised, but the more I thought about it, I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense, because it's something that I think people still play today. Apparently, the New York Times said it brought in millions of new users to play Wordle and some of the other games when they consolidated everything. And I think I do see every once in a while on social media people sharing their Wordle score. So I was like, oh, okay, it's still ongoing. It's almost like the crossword puzzle. It's here to stay.
Yeah. And I think it's such a brilliant little simple game that has captivated everyone in the last year. Yeah. If you think about it, it's a lot like to quote an article I read, it's a lexical version of Mastermind. Remember that game, the old game that if you ever took the SQ flight, then they'll give kids this little box with the colored pegs, and then it's actually a Mastermind game. I can't imagine why they were used to give those games, because those little pegs are so tiny. I can imagine any kid just like swallowing it, right? But they describe it as a lexical version of Mastermind. Yeah. And it's the beauty of it, I think, this day and age really is in the fact that it's perfect for this era, because it's one word a day. Basically, you're presented one puzzle a day, so it's not too taxing on the brain. In fact, you think about it, a daily crossword is quite taxing on the brain, and more likely than not, most people can only solve like 30 to 40% of the crossword puzzle, right? So, but this is just one word that you do every day. You can, then the best part is you can share your result in terms of how many guesses you took to play the game, to win the game. So everyone's talking about the same word, and everyone's also understanding, this is how difficult it was or how simple it was for you to guess this word. And you can share your progress without giving any spoilers about what the actual puzzle is. That's the beauty of it also. The colored squares, the colored grid that you would use to share, to show how well you did at today's Wordle. So that's why I think it captivated people. It tapped into people's urge to need to share how well they were playing the game and all. Plus, it was just simple enough for people to just pick up and in the midst of doing laundry or the midst of taking care of kids, you got 1 minute, you can just start playing Wordle, come back to it again later. So it's just such a brilliant little piece of it's such a brilliant little game that really, I understand why people are so hooked to it, even in 2022.
Did you get into it?
Yeah. I did for a while, for a phase, where I was like, I started late but I just went to the backlog and just started doing them every day. Never got into the habit of doing it every single day, but for a while, I was like just playing it for nonstop for a while, yeah.
Oh, really? So you shared it with your friends and family and all?
No, I didn't bother sharing, but I just played it just because out of interest, yeah. Just the whole a bit of a Wheel of Fortune kind of feel to it, yeah.
I think what I find more amazing is actually the story behind Wordle. Are you aware of like how it was developed and by who?
Yeah, I am aware, but please enlighten.
So, first of all, it's created by this solo developer called Josh Wardle.
Yeah.
Wardle. So come on, man. That's not really the reaction I was expecting from you, Terrence. I would have appreciated a bit more enthusiasm.
I was going to say that's like Causeway Link, the perfect, it's like the perfect name.
The perfect name. So he actually created the game in 2013, no? And it was inspired by Mastermind. And at first, I think he just included all 13,000 possible 5-letter words in the English language. But then his wife had some difficulty recognizing some of the more obscure words, so she helped him trim it down to 2,000 more common words. Then in 2014, he finished the prototype, he lost interest, and then he put it aside. But during COVID, when him and I think by then his wife got really into crossword puzzles and daily puzzles, they went back to this and they just started sharing it with their family. And it was spreading. Then he shared it with friends, and they shared with friends. And then what caused the whole upswing, right, was he made it public in October, and then he found that it had become popular with a group of people in New Zealand who had created like an emoji style display of the guesses, which they shared with friends. And then he thought, oh shit, that's pretty cool. So he incorporated it into his app, which is what people started sharing. And after that, it went ape shit because I think on November 1st, there were 90 players, and then by January there were 300,000 people, and a week after that there were 2 million people.
Yeah.
So it just went crazy, and I mean, even he said that it was a bit overwhelming because it made him and his partner famous. There were so many copycats that were coming out. Some guy who created another app called Wordle, incidentally, 5 years ago, which was a paid app, had 200,000 downloads in 1 week.
Wow.
Because people thought it was an actual game. So he donated a bunch of the proceeds to charities. So when New York Times came and offered to acquire, George, the founder himself said, he had no intention of monetizing it, and dealing with the copycats was becoming a headache. So he was like, yes, please take it off me. And he sold it. Yeah. So and he came up with it when he was working at Reddit, and he actually came up with 2 other brilliant things for Reddit. I think this guy is like just a genius at creating this kind of shit. The first was this thing called a button. Did you ever hear of it?
Yeah, I think we talked about it on the podcast, didn't we? No?
We talked about the place.
Yeah, the place, yes.
Which was also something he created. So the place was like this 1,000 by 1,000 pixel thing on Reddit where any user could change a pixel at a time, and it was left open for months, and the designs and images that came up were insane. The button was this thing where there was just a button on a page on Reddit, and there was a 60-second timer. You press it, the timer resets, and the whole experiment was to see how long would it take for it to actually reach the zero. And it took 2 months and 4 days.
I see.
So throughout that time, there was always someone who would press it, and the moment it reached zero, it became like archived.
I see.
Yeah, so this guy is like fucking genius, and now he works for Mischief, the company that done the Satan shoes and like all those funky drops every 2 weeks.
Yeah. It sounds like he's a guy who knows how to play within the space of social media and marry a lot of the basic human instincts and tendencies we have with things that we do on media. Like I can imagine, like, when you're fidgeting or just sitting around and there's a button, you just want to keep you can just keep pressing it. Like, because I watch my child how he plays, and sometimes he gets obsessive with like doing something just over and over again, just for the kick of seeing the light up and all that, right? And it slowly, then the brain starts to, you start to sink into this, like, let's play a game and see how long I can keep the light on kind of thing. So, that kind of instinctive human behavior, being able to map it into something digital and then run an experiment about it, it's just it shows that this guy, knows how to think laterally, right?
Yeah, very interesting. Cool, man. Super cool.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Because I mean, something like Wordle is such a simple concept, but like the fact that it's like mastermind, like that someone didn't come out of it before. Given that mastermind was from the 70s and 80s and all, it's kind of crazy, right? But maybe it's just now that apps and all that are so everywhere. It's so easy for people to play. That's why it really blew up and went viral, right?
Yeah, I mean, even in Singapore, right, there was Wordlay that came up.
Yeah.
Right, so
all the spin-offs, right? Not the spin-offs. I mean, what do you call these? Like tributes or adaptations? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But number one. But does it also tell you that how Singaporeans love their mobile games, right? Their little mobile games.
It was also the top trending search in the US for 2022.
Oh, the US also. Okay. Was it the top trending search in the world? Like the whole world?
That one.
That'd be if it was the top trending search for the world.
Can check. Oh, that's actually interesting. Oh shit! It was number 1 in the world as well.
In the world, wow, goddamn, wow.
So the top 10 in the world. Yeah, actually, that's quite an interesting thing. The top 10 searches that were trending in 2022 globally was starting with 10 is the Indian Premier League, Jeffrey Dahmer, iPhone 14, India versus West Indies, World Cup, India versus South Africa, Queen Elizabeth, Ukraine, India versus England, Wordle. So I think India has a lot of influence on the global searches on Google.
Yeah.
Because Google's not in China, right?
Yeah, that's right. And it kind of tells you how many people watch cricket, I imagine.
Oh my God. Imagine creating something that became the most searched thing in the world. Holy.
More so than cricket. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think that's probably a bigger thing, that, your name is forever etched in history. And internet history, or just generally history, compared to just being bought out by the New York Times, right?
Yeah.
I think the fact that for that 2022, something you created was the most searched term in the world. That's pretty crazy.
That is insane.
Yeah.
Wordle. Wow. Kudos to Josh Wardle.
Yeah.
Cool. So that wraps up our top 10 most trending searches in Singapore for 2022, man.
Yeah. Cool. And always brings us to, I think, for the year, this will be our final one shot comment. So do you want to bring us home with what your one shot comment is?
It's not going to be a one shot comment of the year. It's just one shot comment of the past few days.
Yeah, the past couple of days, correct.
Past couple of days. And I guess One should comment. There was just a comment from long time commenter Jungle Jimbo just asking if I could do a review of the follow up for Avatar 2, which I haven't seen yet. And I'm actually surprised that not many people are keen to watch it. Are you keen to watch it?
Yeah. Not entirely, no, not really.
How come?
Not that
I'm
keen.
super keen. No? I can't find anyone.
But you still haven't watched it, right?
I haven't watched it.
You claim to be super keen. Oh, you watched already?
No, I haven't. I want to watch with someone. I want to watch
you say super keen, but you have all these conditions to it. You're sounding like
what
Meghan
all
Markle.
These conditions? I want to watch with someone, dude.
You're sounding like Meghan Markle. You say one thing, but then you do another. Yeah.
Don't Meghan Markle me. Yeah. So I mean, there are mixed reviews, right?
The mixed reviews is one thing, but it's like, I mean, I'm just trying to am I that interested to really go back to that world and revisit those characters? Like, I don't even remember much about the characters from the first movie already. Yeah.
What was it?
I just remember the spectacle I remember the spectacle of like 3D films and all that at the point in time when you're wearing those glasses and oh wow, it looked amazing. But I think 3D has died, obviously. I think people just got sick of wearing glasses and feeling and looking stupid and feeling stupid when watching films. And you realize we don't need that 3D spectacle to enjoy a good film like Top Gun Maverick's an example, right? It's just really awesome visuals and a good story and all. So the sell that there isn't that same kind of like, oh, look at this technology and what it can do. You must watch it because of this technology. But that said, it still crossed $1 billion in box office already, right? Avatar.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So,
yeah.
I mean,
I still probably watch it. I'll probably watch it. Even if it's alone, I'll watch it.
Yeah, because I think you've mentioned how you were blown away by all that before. Yeah.
Yeah, not so much about the effects. I think just the escapism. It's just an escape. It's a fantasy escape. Yeah.
I thought it's because you like the lovemaking that they do with the tails, the blue tails in the show. That's your jam. That's why you're
exactly. That's what I wish for every morning.
The escapism.
Let me get out with a tail that I can make love with. Exactly.
Yeah, you can.
Hasn't come through yet.
You can make love with the tail. You can switch on lights with the tail.
Not make love with the tail. Plants. Oh no. Use the tail to make love.
Use the tail to make love. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Not make love with the tail.
What do you think? You make love with the tail. There's other things you can make love with.
Make love with the tail, yeah. But what about you, man?
But yes.
What's your one show comment?
I think the one show comment was with regards to our episode 351 about the vacant BTO prices. It's just a very interesting topic, lah. There's a lot of generally there are a lot of opinions about it. So I think Advanced Classroom 15 just posted that no other country I know, talking about Singapore, guarantees public housing. In North America, we rent until we can save enough money to buy a house on the open market. HDB and BTO is really unique, right? And I think that triggered another comment that from Extreme Virus that there are many days where I couldn't fathom the current BTO prices, but when I read the world news and posts like this, I think Singaporeans are so blessed to have a reasonable chance to own your own flat. Even if you can't, there's much government support out there to assist you. So # count your blessings, # stop grumbling people, # political party neutral. So yeah, I mean it's cool that we get comments like that where people are saying that, are we really just navel gazing a little too much and not understanding that in the larger scheme of things, we're actually very lucky that we even have this chance to own public housing, whether or not it's too expensive or priced out of reach, right?
But I mean, then other countries also have a chance, since it's not guaranteed. I mean, Singapore is also not guaranteed, right?
Yeah, no, but it's just the availability and I think
maybe the quality, the quality of public housing.
The fact that we're still building, even we're still building public housing at a relatively high rate to try and match demand and all that. So I think that's, and the quality, the quality of it ultimately. I mean, you look at some of the newer projects and the kind of facilities that are there. You can't imagine that being public housing anywhere else in the world, right?
Yeah, but that one feels like I guess
debate.
we can keep it positive lah for now. In the sense that the public housing in Singapore is of a high quality, but feels like wow, there's a lot more to uncover here.
Of course. I'm just highlighting this as one comment that is slightly, puts things in context a little bit also when you think about it. Yeah.
Puts a smile. Sweet man. And what's a general one Shiok thing that put a smile on your face?
General one Shiok thing that put a smile on my face. Maybe you want to go first. There's a couple that I'm just trying to think through.
My one, it's I mean, now there's like all this talk of like AI this, AI that, like creating art from like images and all. There's this one website that I've been kind of following over the past 2 years, and it's called Runway ML. I don't know if it's been a Shiok thing before, but they're basically like, like if you use Canva for photos, then if you maybe use Adobe Premiere for editing, if you're like invest in editing software, Runway is trying to come up with like a suite of features that use AI to create art lah. And I think like the turning point, I think in November or December when this thing called ChatGPT 3 went live, and now everyone's talking about AI and all. I think Runway ML, I just checked out their website, and the amount of features they have is fucking astounding. And if you look at what can be done with their software, it is insane. And it is one of the things that makes me a bit more excited, because generally I'm damn scared of like AI. I still haven't gotten over the hump yet. But you look at it and you can sign up for free. You can create a few projects to play around, but it generally looks super exciting. Like again, maybe my one Shiok thing is this one video they put out of the kinds of things they can do with their software, and I've gone in and played around with it, and what you see in the video, it is achievable with their software lah. It's crazy. Like some things you can the basic things like remove background and all. You can make blur images sharper, but you can also like you have two images, like you take those rapid fire photos and all. They can help you create a video out of just photos, and I don't know. It's just pretty insane. And I'm also trying to be more open to using these kind of things to create shit lah.
So why do you say you can't get over the hump about AI?
When I see companies that are writing scripts, or companies that are solely focused on removing the need of actors, I'm like, oh shit. Because you think about a newscaster or something, that one totally can be with AI, right? An AI avatar that speaks multiple languages and shit like that. Then I'm like, oh shit, is that something that we need to kind of embrace? So I'm still a little apprehensive about it lah.
I get what you're saying lah. I think there was a hard fork. This is not my one Shiok thing, but there was a hard fork. A hard fork episode. I think it's Hard Fork's a tech podcast that I think it's by New York Times or The Verge. I can't remember. But they basically tasked ChatGPT with writing the script for their podcast, and they just said all they typed in was like, please write me a snazzy, tech focused, edgy script for a podcast. And what came out was I mean, it was kind of plain vanilla, kind of generic, but it was still a usable script, like, for intro and everything. So can you imagine, us like, can we write an edgy podcast that discusses current affairs? Can you write intro for edgy podcast that discusses current affairs? We might not have to do all that 7-minute ramble about your wedding. Yeah. You might not have to do a 7-minute ramble about how your conversation skills, or talk about your wedding. You just read off a script and then just jump right into the topics.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and I think it's the fastest app to ever reach 1 million users. I think Angry Birds.
You got ChatGPT?
Yeah, in 5 days. Okay. Angry Birds took 35 days. Pinterest took 4 months. Facebook took a year or something.
Yeah, crazy. And the scary thing is that they ChatGPT is already old technology in the AI world already, apparently.
Yeah, correct.
Like apparently, like there's the next version of whatever the iteration is going to be like this, like 10 times as much data that the AI has to work with, and also it's we're even with ChatGPT we're so impressed, but we're not saying impressed, we're already so blown away. Can you imagine the next iteration coming up?
Honestly, I think there's technology out there that if we feed all 352 hours of our podcast in, they can do our podcast, talk about current affairs without us having to do anything, which scares the shit out of me. It scares the shit out of me.
Yeah. So it always, but like what we always talk about folklore, there's always that human element of the conversation.
Exactly.
That we're still you can't replicate lah, and I still believe that's the case lah. Yeah.
I believe that too, man.
Yes. Just the awkwardness and people. The back and forth, like it's kind of like fencing in it,
the tangents
you go on, That's the beauty of conversation. That it's not, there's no like list of questions you get through. It's just you just sort of reacting, and it's kind of like a very delicate dance, But yes, but one Shiok thing for the year, not for the year. I mean for this, it's kind of like related to being self-reflective. All that. This YouTube channel that I recently just got into is called Nerdstalgic Gaming. And it's not a small channel. It's really got 661,000 subscribers. But they basically talk about the stories of like gaming franchises. And, they look back at what happened to these gaming franchises. So they games like the gaming industry, like any other entertainment industry is driven largely by economics and not just about what games other people want to play and all that. So they delve into the history of different gaming franchises and try to explain like why certain gaming franchises that you learned that were so beloved last time, how come after a while they died off, or nobody talked about them, or they didn't make sequels to them and things like that. So I think the one that was pretty interesting for me was the video was The Tragic Past and Uncertain Future of Dead Space, which is a game that came out in the 2000s and is about to be re-released or remastered or remade for the latest generations. So they go into the economics and why the game, after the first game came out, it changed and failed and subsequently was cancelled, and now it's coming back and making a comeback. So there's a pretty interesting take on the history of game franchises, which I don't think there's enough literature out there, especially considering that how big gaming is a part of a lot of people's lives, a lot of their childhood. We don't talk a lot about the people's emotions and the childhood memories of playing all these games, which I think bit by bit it'll get a bit more. People will start realizing, hey, there's so much of my childhood that's embedded within things that happen with these games and all. So this is a good place to start.
Did you play
this channel.
Space?
Yeah.
Did you play Dead Space?
Yeah. In fact, Dead Space was something I played in the 2000s. I played for a while, then it just got too scary because it's a horror game. It got too scary for me to finish back then. But I think just recently, because I got into the Xbox Game Pass and all, I just like played the old version of it again, and I actually completed the game this time with a bit more like, with my like just gripping onto my balls. I just got like powered through the game, even though it's still scary and all. But to me, it was like maybe now I'm more like, sorry, you wanted to.
Is that how you hold a controller? How you
and your balls and your balls. No, but it's really scary game. It's like one of those games that like I try to sit further away from the TV because it's like scary yeah. And I play it with like the volume almost like sometimes I try to play without any sound at all because the jump scares are really scary. Yeah.
But you enjoyed it, like you enjoyed it.
I mean, I think it's actually all these games they're more like puzzle games more than like really first person shooters So they use the space to create. They use the physical space within the game to create puzzles that you have to solve and overcome. So it's not that kind of crazy Fortnite or whatever fast paced game. It's a very slow moving one player game that is quite rare these days. I enjoyed it, and it's coming back. I think next month it's going to be re-released. Oh, not re-released. Remade for the new generation of consoles, and it has gone through. It became a very different thing with its sequels, and then it got cancelled, and now it's coming back. And it's just interesting that someone is doing video essays on these issues. On these games.
Wow, sweet.
You might find some games that you played in your childhood that
Tomb Raider.
Maybe Tomb Raider.
Tomb Raider.
I'm saying games lah, not stuff that you were just googling at like Angelina Jolie's poster and all that lah. Yeah.
Hey, that's a movie. I played the game. Okay, I played the game.
For like 5 minutes, right? Then after that, the rest of it, you just
the game. I completed Tomb Raider 2. I completed Tomb Raider 2.
Wow, Harish played and completed the game.
Yes, I did. And Metal Gear Solid. Those are the only two games I completed in my life.
Wow, not bad, man, Harish, not bad. I think you'll be invited to an esports team at some point, just
exactly
from your resume of having completed those.
That's my side hustle, esports. Yeah. Cool, man.
Actually, Wordle, you never even play, right? You never even play Wordle, right?
I played a few times.
I played a few times. Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't get into it.
Couldn't get into the number one most searched Google trend in the world. Yeah. It's not cool enough for you. It's still It's a nerds thing, right?
No lah. I'm different lah. I'm unique lah, bro. I'm unique.
Okay. But yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's it for 2022, man.
Yeah. 353 episodes in, and now we move on to 2023 lah, right?
2023. Same thing, 3 times a week. And there's a lot of shit that we are planning for 2023. And it's going to be fucking exciting, man. Fucking exciting.
And so you hope you guys have a very yalabat New Year coming up. As in New Year celebration lah. Well, what's a yalabat New Year mean? What a yalabat holiday? What does that mean?
I think a yalabat New Year's, it's counting down to New Year's in every time zone. Because it's always about considering other perspectives.
Oh, so that means what? Your New Year celebration lasts for 12 hours. Every hour you're like counting down and celebrating.
I mean, technically the time zones are 30 minutes apart, so it's 24. 24 times to count down.
Okay, 24 times, yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's
no, is it 48? It's 48, it's 24 hours a day, right? Yeah.
But time difference, what's the maximum time difference from here? From the other side of the world. Can't be more than 12 hours, right? Is it not 14? There is a 16, 18. I can't remember. Yeah, maybe it is. No, there has to be like a whole 24 hours, right?
But cannot be what? Because if it's 24 hours, that just means that if
you're on the same side of the world.
If you're in Changi, you go one side of the world, Jurong is 24 hours behind.
No, cannot be. Yeah, wait, that's wrong. So it can't be 24 hours.
Cannot be. It's not 24 hours. It's not 24 hours.
And it wouldn't make sense that you step off the coast of Changi and then it's a different time zone, right? Yeah.
I think it's split up into 30 minutes, but that's a question for the Asians, man.
And so probably only a yalabat Christmas. I think it's that you be that guy at the countdown, or you that person at the countdown when everyone's like counting down 5, 4, 3, and then they Happy New Year. And then you're that guy asking, actually, what's so happy about this whole occasion? It's just the passing of time, right? It's like, what's there to celebrate, really? So that to me, that's the essence of what yalabat.
That's true.
New Year's about, You're always that guy asking the extra question.
The guy poking, right? The guy poking.
Like we mentioned at the start.
Correct. What's so happy? You can just say it's New Year's.
That's it's just New Year's. Yeah, right? Nothing happy, right?
Happy.
Yeah, that's right.
Nothing happy.
Yeah. Cool.
So to all yalabat listeners, what you're going to say? It's New Year's.
It's New Year's. Yalabat New Year's, yeah.
It's New Year's. So have a new year.
Yeah, have a new year. Here's a new year for you. Yeah.
Here's a new year for you. Have a new year, guys.
Have a new year.
Cool. But thanks everyone for listening this whole year, and we will talk to you all in 2023.